Hey everyone, Mystical Mark here. So this will be your intuitive astrology forecast for September 28th to October 4th of 2025. In this video, I will intuitively tune in to my own higher self to each aspect, both major and minor, that will be occurring this week to get the overall kind of vibe of what's occurring astrologically for this week. Okay, so now before we get into that, if you're looking for any kind of a reading with me, all of those links will be in the description below. I do, of course, now have a new, just a quickie 3-minute reading for only $10. Okay, so it's kind of like an introductory thing, or if someone just wants like a quick reading. So if you want something, you know, like you're new to me and you want to say, oh, well, what can this guy do, right? Instead of paying for like a full reading, you can get something like that just to see before you get a full reading. Or, you know, if, you know, you can't afford a full reading, or you want something, or you just want me to answer a quick question for you or whatever, all that exists there. And of course, that link is in the description below. All right. Now, as I say at the beginning of all of my videos, my guidance has been and likely always will be. Astrology is an energetic template conducive to certain things. Okay, meaning the analogy they gave me is like it's a formula of math. So like the energetic template, the chart is like a math formula. There's variables within that are of course subject to change. Okay, you can change those, whatever. And of course that is because we have free will. Now, anything that I intuitively tune into, so this is an intuitive reading, whether it's a card reading, intuitive reading, astrology, whatever. Okay, any prediction that I make is again always subject to change because of free will. So if I get something intuitively that this could happen or whatever, it's a potential from the point that I'm doing this reading until that happens. However, things can always change. There's free will choices that are made. So yeah, just putting that out there, and that's for any reading that anyone ever does, is always subject to change, okay? All right, with all that being said here, I'm just gonna have a sip of water, and then we will jump right into the charts for this week. Now, of course, this week we're gonna start here on Sunday, September 28th. We've got several things occurring today, so we'll just kind of hop right in here. So one of the main things, well, what's at the top of my list that's going to happening overnight here is we're going to have this Venus in sesqui-square to Chiron. Okay, so now let me just tune in to this Venus and Virgo in sesqui-square to Chiron here. Okay, what I get initially is this Venus and Virgo, there's a feminine energy that's really wanting to take care to fix things. I believe I said that in a previous video, when Venus was entering into Virgo. And with this Chiron energy, it almost feels like where we've been wounded, where it almost feels like an outcast kind of an energy. With this Chiron, remember Chiron is where our wound is, where we've been wounded, hurt, you know, etc. And Chiron is retrograde, so this is going over old stuff. So it's almost like, okay, what I'm getting now is this Venus and Virgo wants to like fix this wherever we've been wounded or whatever, and this sesqui-square is really pushing for that to occur. Okay, a sesqui-square is like a super square. Okay, it's really pushing for resolution. It's really pushing for something to occur, for something to shift, right? It can't be swept under the rug any longer. So it's almost like this feminine aspect, remember we all have both divine masculine, divine feminine within all of us, is really pushing for this to be fixed. So in this sign of Virgo, wanting to fix something, wanting to fix it, take care of it, deal with wherever this wound is, wherever we've been outcasted, I guess, or wounded in that sense, and wanting to fix it or take care of it in some way. Anything else to this Venus and sesqui-square to Chiron aspect? Again, it feels like this is something that has already occurred. It's not a new wound, it's an old wound. But it's something that's been there that needs to be dealt with, right? Chiron is retrograde, so we're going over that stuff again. Okay, anything else surrounding this? Yeah, and that Aries energy is kind of like that action-oriented, trying to fix that, although this could relate to, you know, with Chiron there and wounds to self-identity, etc., or wounds to us on a maybe more of an individual level that needs to be worked on and healed in some way too. But anything else? But I feel like what I was getting was it's an action-oriented aspect to take care of that stuff, and Venus and Virgo, that aspect of fixing it from a feminine perspective. Anything else maybe more surrounding that? it just, what I feel is like the feminine is more able to deal with it. Okay. Anything else surrounding that Venus and sesqui square to Chiron? No, we can move on. So on this day, we're also going to have the sun here in Libra in semi-square to Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Okay, let me just tune into this. Sun in semi-square to Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Okay, what it feels like is that Lilith energy is really pushing for balance. So Sun in Libra, that aspect of Libra where it's seeking like that aspect of balance, justice, etc. That Lilith energy, that she's strong in that. She's really pushing for balance in that in some way. With that, anything else with this semi-square? It's almost like you can't mess with me anymore. You can't deal with it. I'm not dealing with this anymore. You can't push this on me anymore. Whatever. There's this seeking of like balance that is occurring with that Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio kind of a vibe, and semi-square to that Sun in Libra. Anything else surrounding that? No, they're pulling me away from that, so we will move on. Also on this day, we're going to have, where are we here? Mercury. Making minor aspects to the nodes. So we have this quincunx to the north node here in Pisces, and this semi-sextile to the south node here in Virgo. Now let me just tune in. What is the overall vibe of this Mercury aspecting the nodes? I get a very strong Libra energy. There's a communicative awareness to this, and it's pushing us into a new direction. It's taking care of something in order to let it go, and then this push into this new direction that we may not really fully understand. And I get that a lot with this north node in Pisces. So we may not fully get where we're going, but you kind of just have to trust and keep going with that Pisces vibe. Now, specifically with this Mercury quincunx the north node, what I get with that is that it just feels like it's unknown, not sure, and that's the frustrating part of that with that quincunx energy. It's almost like, okay, it's like that reluctancy almost to move forward, but it's like you kind of feel that you should, and there's kind of like this weirdness to that. Anything else with that energy? Okay, now let's move on to that semi-sextile to the south node. Mercury semi-sextile to the south node here. It's almost like you're working to fix or take care of something, like whether it's details or fixing something, just to let it go, to be able to let it go so that you can move on. And that's part of maybe what this frustration is in moving forward, is you're moving into this new space. You're not sure how it's going to work, not sure how you're going to deal with it or how whatever. And it's just kind of like, you have to work on something to let this go. And then, but new to you is kind of what I'm getting with this new to you kind of an energy in moving forward. And it maybe feels a bit weird or has to be integrated in some way in that sense. All right, so that's kind of the vibe of that. Now let's move on to Monday the 29th here. And of course, this is when we're going to have this first quarter moon. Excuse me, where we're going to have the sun in Libra squaring this moon here in Capricorn. I'm feeling a bit of a Capricornian energy as soon as I said that. So let me just tune into this quarter moon. First, okay. Tune into this quarter moon here. Boundaries to justice. Feels like that Capricorn is really like pushing for something here, but of course with this sun and Libra energy, okay, I'm feeling like this aspect of justice balance, so it's kind of like they're working together. I understand that this is a square, however squares aren't always bad. All right, they're just pushing to take action towards something and use the energies of both signs in that way. Pushing for resolution for something, okay? Just like an opposition isn't bad, it's just seeking balance. All right, so squares and oppositions can be good things because they're pushing for action or seeking for action in that way. Okay, so it doesn't have to be bad. All right, so what it feels like is this energy really kind of working together to really kind of push for more of a balance and justice, and through that Capricornian aspect of setting appropriate boundaries in that way. And of course, with the moon here, this could be stuff that is maybe unseen that is coming up, or something emotional, or something that's being brought in that sense. But it's like there's this aspect of and maybe it's emotional boundaries too that need to be set, but there's something here about this aspect of boundaries. And what I get with that is, hold on, let me tune into that again. I'm feeling that Cancerian vibe of the moon, as the moon rules Cancer. But it's almost like protective of that. Like there's boundaries that are maybe protective of maybe an emotional or a nurturing vibe. So maybe it is emotional boundaries. But in general, there is that aspect of that Capricornian. It's like, no, blah, 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 do this, whatever. There's that aspect of boundaries that is there. And it's to seek that justice or balance in some way. There with that Sun in Libra. Anything else with this quarter moon that is happening here on Monday? I get something that could happen on a global political scale. A political figure, likely I'm feeling maybe a sense of Trump. I don't know. He just appears whenever he wants to. But anything else with this? I do get a political vibe with this, and like somebody on a podium speaking about like something, and it feels political. So whether that's, are we gonna fully understand this? Like, what is it? Like, is it? I don't know. It feels like more like turmoil, or more like it's just political. It feels like political bullshit. Yeah, I kind of get, what I get again is maybe a bit of Trump in there, and he just doesn't care, or he's just like, yeah, no, or yeah, it's like there's something surrounding that, and maybe other politicians that are like trying to be all, oh, well, we're gonna do this because of whatever, and Trump's just like, okay, so it gives that kind of an energy. Whether that specifically happens, or whether that's just the analogy that they're giving me as the vibe to this, maybe it could go either way. Okay. Anything else to this? Okay, no, we're clear to move on from that, and it actually doesn't look like there's anything else going on here for the Monday. So let's move on to Tuesday the 30th here. And on the 30th, looks like the only thing that I have here is going to be this Mercury in semi-sextile to Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Sorry if you guys are hearing some background noise. I have to have the window open here for some fresh air into this room, so I apologize for that. Okay, but we'll have this Mercury here, in semi-sextile to Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. So let me just tune in here in this Mercury and Black Moon Lilith. There's an awareness, feels like an awareness of something that is out of balance regarding this Lilith energy. So where somebody has been outcasted, or where something, it feels like there's strength to this though, and through whatever this awareness is that has been out of balance. So it's like Lilith is giving some kind of aspect of strength, or is pushing for a deeper in your face kind of an awareness vibe. And of course, that awareness comes through Mercury, through maybe that aspect of communication, through whatever is maybe not in balance or out of balance in some way here. Anything else surrounding this? No. Okay. Anything further to that energy you want to bring to me? That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay, and that would be it for Tuesday, then the 30th. So let me just move forward here to Wednesday. Wednesday, October 1st. Okay, so on this day, we're going to have Juno here moving into Sagittarius on this day. Now, I don't look at every asteroid or every kind of minor object, but there is a select few that I do look at, and Juno is one of them. Now, let me just tune in here to this Juno coming into Sagittarius. It feels, what I get is like, whether it be political partnerships or business partnerships, it feels like more of like on a global scale regarding these contracts, commitments, partnerships, and I feel like there's a lot of talking that is going around with them. And I'm just kind of being drawn to this opposition here to now Uranus retrograde in Gemini, and maybe that's dealing with a lot of talk surrounding this, maybe shaking it up, or like going to tune into that a bit, maybe talking about changes surrounding those things. Excuse me. Maybe that's something to pay attention to. So feels like I said, with that Sagittarian energy, these are, whether they're commitments or partnerships or global commitments, partnerships, it feels like either like corporate or political or something that are now being talked about more on a, like I said, on a global scale with that Sagittarian energy, more on like a global scale. And but there's an aspect of like a lot of communication that is going on surrounding that. What I get is a lot of feminine energy communicating and talking. Whether that means feminine political figures or business figures or whatever, it could be that, or it could be a feminine energy that is kind of initiating this kind of thing, or talking about it, or it's surrounding a feminine energy. It's something about that. Anything else with this Juno coming into Sagittarius? No, so it's basically this expand, or this, I don't even want to say expansion, is these two types of partnerships on a more global scale that are being talked about or brought about more in whatever way. But there's a feminine energy that is within this, that is bringing up the discussion or talking about it somehow. All right. Also on this day, we have Mercury here in square to Jupiter. Okay, let me just tune into this Mercury in square to Jupiter. I feel this expansion or this inflation of communication, but it comes from more of an emotional, I almost wanted to say wholesome emotional level with Jupiter and Cancer. And what I got was actually an image of like a young man, maybe more expressing emotionally. In some way there. It's expressing emotion, it's letting that emotion out through that aspect of communication. It's almost like to either seek appropriate balance, obviously like through expressing your emotions. It allows it to come out, and then it does seek some type of balance. And Mercury is in Libra, so that's maybe that aspect of that. Okay, what I'm getting with this is it feels like this aspect of like a young man expressing his emotions, but there's this feminine side to it because Venus rules Libra, but I always consider Libra like a more masculine-esque expression of that feminine. So it feels very like solidly, like there's an aspect of like confidence here, but it comes from, how do I describe this? It's a very confident, if you were to apply certain qualities of the masculine aspect to a feminine energy in terms of like that confidence, that aspect of confidence expression, etc., and not wavering. That's kind of what that exists there. It's a young masculine energy that is confident and not wavering in that expression of that emotionality. Okay, is what I feel with that. Anything else surrounding this? I almost get like maybe there's a depth to it, like there's a strong depth to whatever this emotion is. I'm getting drawn to the degree here, 22 degrees, I believe that is a Scorpio degree. Whether that could be relevant, or it could be another reason for the degree. I'm not sure what the Sabian symbols are or anything for either in Cancer or Libra at those points, but anything else, like I'm just being drawn to the depth of it again. There's a depth to this, whatever this emotionality is, whatever is going on here. There's more of a depth, even if it's not necessarily emotional. There's a depth to whatever part of that, the expression that is. Okay, anything else with this? Okay, no, there. I'm like, no. Okay. Also, on this day, we're going to have, where are we here? Mars in Scorpio in this biquintile to Neptune here in Aries. Okay. Mars biquintile Neptune. Introspective focus regarding the masculine energy. Feeling the masculine energy in general. So whether that's the energy that exists within us, whether you express more masculine, whether that's men, just in general, could be any of those things in general. There's like an inner reflection, and then what I'm getting is like transformation that is kind of occurring here. So this Neptune retrograde, remember Mars rules Aries, and Mars is in Scorpio, and then Neptune is in Aries, so this energy is all, there's maybe a bit more emphasis on this Mars masculine-esque kind of a vibe. Mars is also the traditional ruler of Scorpio, but it kind of feels with that Neptune in Aries, this is like this introvert, as when I initially talked about with Neptune retrograde in Aries, is this introspective focus on oneself and going within to have a look at that. Okay? And what I get with this is there's more of this that is occurring, but it feels more like, again, with that biquintile, it's happening, but it may not, but you kind of have to, it's not maybe fully like out there. It's happening, it's occurring, but it's maybe only noticeable to those who are paying attention to it. Okay? And it's kind of like I said, it's this introspective focus on this masculine that is needed to transform or change or shift in whatever way that is necessary. There's a transformation that is occurring of this masculine energy. It's maybe taking a look at itself, maybe a bit more internally, to try to maybe heal or rework or transform or change in some way. This feels more positive, though, in terms of what this transformation is. But there is an aspect of that, and I believe I spoke about this in the previous week's video. Anything else surrounding that biquintile? No, they're pulling me away from that. So that's for Wednesday the 1st. So let's move on to Thursday here, October 2nd. We're going to have Juno here, now in Sagittarius, in quintile to the South Node. So let me just tune into that. This Juno in quintile to the South Node. What I feel like is a lot of these expanded global, whatever these partnerships are, there's a letting go maybe of a lot of certain things surrounding this, in a practical sense, is what I'm hearing. Okay, as it relates to that Virgo energy. This may not be like 100% notice. Well, it's there, but it's like it's kind of happening, but it may not be reported on as like a main thing. Okay, because that's kind of the energy of the quintile. But it's still occurring, it's happening. It's maybe more existing behind the scenes, and then maybe you just hear about it later or something like that. Anything else with this energy? No. So it's just basically that there's kind of something that's maybe on a practical level being let go of surrounding whatever these partnerships are, whether maybe it's let going of a certain partnership or something within that's being let go of on a practical sense in some way. Okay. Also on this day, we're going to have Venus in sesqui-square to Pluto. Pluto retrograde. Okay. Let me just tune into this. Venus in Virgo sesqui-square to Pluto retrograde. Okay. This is okay. Putting in the work to take care of things and fix things surrounding what actually really needs to be transformed and changed. Remember, Pluto is retrograde. These are these old things. Sesqui-square, stuff that can't be swept under the rug any longer. This Venus and Virgo energy, this feminine aspect that is wanting to fix things and take care of things. She's willing to do it, okay? She's in tune. She's understanding things, and she's willing to do it. Unlike maybe some of the masculine, but let's not get into any kind of divisive stuff, because I feel like that Mars and Scorpio, that transformative aspect, is kind of maybe providing that introspective focus in that way to assist the masculine to get kind of get with the program, get more into the game to be able to deal with things, right? It's like a transformation and healing that needs to occur there. So let me just focus on this Venus and sesqui-square Pluto aspect. There's an intensity and even maybe a heaviness to that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, but it's obviously stuff that needs to change, and the feminine putting in the work to do it. It feels like a lot like maybe she's stressed, maybe it's heavy, but she's putting in the work surrounding these aspects of this transformation and change that is needing to occur here. Anything else surrounding this? Again, it feels almost like it could be political in that sense too. Okay. Sorry, there was somebody walking outside and it distracted me. Anything else with this? No, so they're pulling me away from that now. Okay. We're also going to have Mercury here. Where are we? Mercury here in this biquintile to the North Node here in Pisces. All right. Let me just tune into this. I get a more positive, maybe feminine, that Libra-esque feminine energy that I spoke about is more able to almost, I want to say, like, understand this Pisces energy. There's an aspect of maybe communication or awareness here that is maybe with like friends or close people surrounding this aspect of movement forward. It's not quite fully maybe public, but it feels like more of someone that's like talking to their friends, etc., of the new direction that they're heading in. And it may seem like really new, unknown, but they're kind of heading there, and they're just speaking about it with close people. Anything else surrounding this? No, that's all they're going to give me with that. Okay, that's fine. The other thing that's happening today is, of course, this Neptune in trine to Juno here. All right, Neptune in trine to Juno. There's a reflective focus on whatever. Again, I'm getting whatever these global like partnerships are, whatever. There's an inner reflective focus on this, and I think it's leading to some aspect. There's an intensity to this, and almost leading to some aspect of change. Okay, and I feel like that intensity, like I'm kind of being drawn to this Mars and Scorpio aspect, since Mars rules Aries, where Neptune is, and I think that amplifies the intensity of whatever this internal transformative focus is surrounding these partnerships. Okay. And whatever they are. Anything else with that? No. So there's some kind of focus on internalized focus. It feels more internal. I don't know if we'll see it external. Well, it'll eventually come out externally, although we could see it, but it feels more like an internal focus, but on that partnership level, whereas people are kind of maybe discussing it or whatever on maybe a more internal way surrounding what really needs to change in regarding these partnerships, or what it feels like is a letting go of something, or we're no longer going to do this kind of an energy. So that's Thursday the 2nd. Let's move on to Friday the 3rd here. So we're going to have Mercury on this day in biquintile to Uranus in Gemini. Okay, so let me just tune into this. Mercury biquintile Uranus. Uranus retrograde. This feels like an awareness of what needs to change, really. But that awareness is coming through from this Libra-esque feminine kind of an energy. It's like I said, this more masculine-esque feminine. She's more understanding, in like a mind sense, or in an awareness in that way of really what needs to change, and she feels willing to do it. Remember, Venus, the ruler of Libra, is of course in Virgo, wanting to take care to fix things, right? And like I said before, she feels willing to do it. Again, this feels like an awareness that's just kind of maybe to her, or visible to her, and maybe that which is around her, and not necessarily so out there. That's the energy of that biquintile. Now, anything else surrounding this? No. Okay. We're also going to have Mercury in opposition to Chiron as well on this day. So let me just tune into that Mercury in opposition to Chiron. I get some very vocal, it feels like a feminine energy again, very vocal about seeking justice, balance, change surrounding this Chiron energy, where somebody, or whatever, it almost seems like a group of people has been outcast in some way, or wounded in some way, or hurt in some way regarding that Chiron energy there. Okay. Anything else surrounding that? Okay, no, that's basically just the gist of that general vibe that they're giving me with that. Okay, so that's it for Friday the 3rd. Let's move on to Saturday the 4th here at the end of the week. All right, and to start off with here, we're going to have Venus conjunct the South Node and oppose the North Node. So let me just give a tune in here to this Venus South Node conjunct the North Node. It's almost like she's taking care of things to like let it go. There's something here that that's like she's letting go. There's a letting go of something. It's like it can't be fixed or it can't be whatever. She's just letting go of it. All right, because remember, she's been working to fix things here in Virgo, and something that can't be fixed or can't be, it's just, see ya. Okay, and, okay, that specific maybe with this conjunction to the South Node, but now with this opposition to the North Node. It's just something new. It's moving in a new direction that maybe she hasn't dealt with before, or that seems very, again, it feels very new. It's that Pisces energy where there's a slight unknown, like you haven't had to do it before. You haven't had to, deal with it, but it's something that you need to do, but it feels like you want to do and it feels positive. It's like, this isn't working anymore, we can't fix this anymore, let it go, and we're moving in this new direction where we may not fully understand, but we know that we need to go there, and it's kind of what we're doing, okay? Anything else with that? No, I guess that's the general vibe of that. Also on this day, we're going to have Mercury here in quincunx to Saturn. Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Okay, let me just tune into this Mercury in quincunx to Saturn. I get a more easygoing Saturn. I get like more of like... it's almost like a dissolving of like the intensity of maybe like a fatherly figure, or something like that. Remember, I consider Saturn in Pisces can be the dissolution of that malefic energy, but it feels like a softer, more almost like a fatherly type figure. In terms of a communication now. It feels like that quincunx, that frustration, is because that figure doesn't know how else to, like, they're unsure how to deal with it, or how to deal with the situation, or how to express, or how to, again, I'm getting that Mercury, that aspect of expression, uncertain or unaware of how to express in dealing with this. It's like there's this dissolution of something, this change that has occurred in this, and it's not sure how to deal with it. Anything else surrounding this? Okay, they're just saying, whoa, just no, pulling it away. Okay, all right, that's what we deal with then, I guess. We're also going to have Venus here in quintile to Juno. Okay. Let me tune in this Venus and quintile to Juno. What I get is dealing with practical details, practical details surrounding whatever these, it feels like someone that maybe like, so there's more expanded like global partnerships and stuff going on, but it feels like, there's teams of people, and there's certain people within teams that have to do certain things. And it feels like there's certain, maybe more of a feminine aspect, or certain people within these teams that are dealing with certain practical things surrounding changes or whatever that is occurring with these global contracts, partnerships, or whatever. Okay, is really what that feels like. Anything else surrounding that? It's maybe regarding some kind of a political announcement, or it feels political in some way, but the people that are doing this are the ones that are kind of maybe more working behind the scenes. But it's regarding whatever announcement or something that has occurred surrounding whatever kind of partnerships that are here, I guess. Anything else with that? I just get like a woman speaking on a podium about something, and then there's other people like behind the scenes that are working on stuff or dealing with stuff. So maybe somebody said something that they shouldn't have, and now they're working to deal with it regarding whatever these partnerships are. or something is being said about something and there's people working on it behind the scenes with that sense and fixing something or whatever. I don't know. Anything else with that? I feel like, no, you got it. Okay. We're also going to have this exact opposition of Uranus and Juno here. Uranus retrograde and Juno. Okay, so let me just tune into this a bit more here. That's Uranus opposition to Juno. I think part of whatever I was talking about was maybe there's something that's maybe shocking that is communicated out, and then people are dealing to fix things, or they're just taking care of fixing things based on that announcement that seems shocking. But what I mean by that is they said what they needed to say, or they did it on purpose, but it seems shocking in whatever way, and now there's people that are like fixing and taking care of it, but they're not, it's not like a PR move to like cover it up. It's like they're actually like something was shocking and now they're working to fix whatever it was that was announced, that was based on what was announced. So it's like somebody says something that has been happening and it's like, well, we didn't realize that, now we have to go fix it. It's that kind of a thing. Anything else surrounding that? Not really. Okay. Okay, I think that's basically it for that astrologically for the week. Now, bring it back to me here. I'm just going to tune into an overall general vibe for maybe like in general, okay, on an individual level, what we may be experiencing for this week. Again, I get a feminine aspect that's taking care of things, working on things, fixing things, but discussing things with maybe people that are close to her. With either friends, associates, family, etc. There's more of an expanded discussion, but it still feels limited to like her group of people, so to speak. So there's maybe a bit more communication going on surrounding a lot of what she's doing or something like that. Maybe she's talking to people that are maybe willing to help her or whatever surrounding that. Anything else with that? I'm not getting anything else, so now let's tune in on maybe a more global or political level here for this week, or economic level, whatever, what could be going on. I get Trump again. Trump's like standing there proud in whatever way that, I don't know. Anything else? Just Trump. All I get is Trump. So whatever comes about with that is whatever comes about with that. So I will end it there for this video. If you have made it this far in the video, please leave a purple heart in the comments so that I know you're a real one. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see everyone in next week's video. Bye.